Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Congratulations to all of you still paying attention to the cryptocurrency asset class, because your opportunity to achieve life-changing wealth just increased dramatically. The news I'm going to share with you in this video is the stuff that will make people rich. And that is not me saying too much. If anything, I'm saying not enough. You know, this is frankly the best news in the world of crypto that we've received in all of 2022 to this point. Now, on a personal level, I will say, if we get settlement regarding the SEC versus Ripple case, then for me, that would be the best news of 2022. But setting that aside, the best news we've received is that BlackRock, which is the largest investment firm on the entire damn planet, they're launching a spot Bitcoin private trust. And I'm going to explain why everybody in crypto, and certainly XRP holders, should be paying very close attention to this. The fact that this is happening, even if you're like me and you're most interested in XRP doing exceedingly well, this is for you. This is exactly what you want to see, because the entire asset class moves in tandem, and this is big. But before going any further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, I want to make sure, just as a refresher, and I know some of you may have missed this anyway, but a week ago, we got news that BlackRock had partnered up with Coinbase. And basically, in a nutshell, what was being done here is BlackRock was, through their own platform, which is called the Aladdin platform, giving access to their customers... giving access to their customers of Coinbase's platform effectively. That's probably a messy way to word it, but effectively, through BlackRock's own platform, their customers now could access Coinbase Prime. So it's for institutional purposes. So I don't want to read through the article, but I wanted to let you know that happened a week ago. And so it's just one thing, big thing, really, really big thing, that would result ultimately, I certainly believe, in crazy amounts of money flowing in to the world of crypto. And again, as I cited just a moment ago, BlackRock is the largest investment firm on the entire planet. A lot of these articles saying that they manage $10 trillion. The most recent number I could find after the downturn was that they currently manage $8.5 trillion. So it's not surprising they're down given what's been happening to investments for pretty much this entire year. But They've been itching to get into crypto, and so they made a huge splash a week ago, but the news today is even bigger. This is much, much, much bigger. And also, by the way, there's an XRP community member who called this. I'm going to highlight him and give him props because he called this move months ago, literally. And so anyway, let's go ahead and dive here. There's so much to say about this. So this is an article from Decrypt titled BlackRock Launches Spot Bitcoin Private Trust. And this is from just earlier today. BlackRock has launched a spot Bitcoin private trust to give its US-based institutional clients direct exposure to the world's most popular cryptocurrency. Let me jump down a little bit further. In the Bitcoin Trust press release, the firm said it's been encouraged by a plan for decarbonizing crypto created by nonprofits Energy Web, based in Switzerland, and RMI, based in the US. And so it's interesting because BlackRock, they've been very vocal about how they're standing behind ESG standards, this and that, and then Bitcoin's an energy hog. But they're hiding behind this idea also that you're going to decarbonize crypto. So they're just moving it anyway. So the truth is they don't even actually care. I'm not saying they should or should not. I'm just observing that BlackRock doesn't actually care about this ESG stuff. They actually they jumped on the bandwagon. All sorts of corporates are doing this the world over. And this is particularly interesting because what they're launching, this trust, and I want to explain what this is because just reading the headline, you might be like, okay, so it's a thing that is important because why? So what's happening here, and again, with BlackRock being the largest investment firm on the entire planet, what they've effectively done is they've copied Grayscale. The product that Grayscale, investment firm Grayscale, hedge fund, has pioneered, and mind you, Grayscale's been around since 2013. BlackRock effectively just copied it. And so what Grayscale created back in 2013 is a Bitcoin trust. And the ultimate goal is to get a Bitcoin spot ETF, which is an exchange-traded fund. So stay with me on this, and I'll break this all down for you. The reason that an exchange-traded fund is the end goal, the reason it's so desirable, and it would be gigantic for any firm that gets approved by the SEC. If you have an ETF, an exchange traded fund, and it's a Bitcoin fund, that, my gosh, the amount of exposure that you're going to get will be wild. Like, what we're talking about effectively is practically the equivalent of Bitcoin at that point being traded on NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. So everyday people that are already using those platforms, those exchanges, to buy and sell various stocks, they'll have access to an exchange traded fund, an ETF. It's just a fund on there, and you can buy that fund and sell it just like you buy and sell, pick your stock, whatever it is, just like you could buy and sell any stock. And so people that weren't necessarily willing to jump into crypto, it's a hassle. You have to learn a whole new interface and get signed up with Coinbase or whatever your exchange it is that you want to jump over. It's a whole thing. Lots of people like myself, and perhaps you have done this, but there are tons of people that just, they don't have the drive, they don't have the interest in actually doing that. But if it's spoon-fed to them on the New York Stock Exchange, well, that suddenly changes things very rapidly, does it not? And also, with an exchange-traded fund, it would be physically backed. If you're talking about spot Bitcoin ETF, it would be physically backed by Bitcoin, meaning that the firm operating the fund, say it was Grayscale that got approved for this, they'd actually have to hold Bitcoin, so it impacts supply and demand. So not only do they have to hold it, but you just opened up dramatically the audience. So it's huge. So given that there's no ETF because the SEC hasn't approved that to this point, which is completely inappropriate, they should have approved it by now, as I've been saying for a long, long time now, what can you do in lieu of that? Well, you can do what Grayscale did. They created a product. They call it their Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And what you can do, and it is physically backed by Bitcoin, but what you can do is you can throw money into the trust, you invest in the actual trust physically backed by Bitcoin, but you don't get the same exposure because if you're just Grayscale, as fantastic as they are, I'm a fan of them, like, it's not the same exposure as if you're traded on NASDAQ and you've got exposure to everybody that buys and sells on NASDAQ. If you're purchasing the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, the only way you can purchase that is if you're an accredited investor. So you're getting very limited exposure, and in order to be an accredited investor, mind you, you have to make at least $200,000 a year. You have to have made at least $200,000 for 2 years in a row and be on the path to earn that for the current year. So 3 years in a row of at least $200,000 a year. Or if you don't have that, you have to have a net worth of at least $1 million, not including real estate, not including or at least not your primary residence. They throw that. So you have to have an actual net worth, not including your home, of that. So it's pretty steep. So most people don't qualify. And that's why it's so big that the floodgates open if you can convert your trust, your Bitcoin trust, into an ETF, which is Grayscale's publicly stated goal. Like, it's on their website right here. Here, I had it pulled up. I don't need to read this, but it's on your screen. They're describing their goal to launch the private placement, that's the trust, and then ultimately get it converted into an ETF, which to this point hasn't happened. So BlackRock, knowing all of the most high-level officials the entire world over, they're connected to everyone. They're now copying Grayscale's model. And what do you think is ultimately going to happen? Probably going to launch or request to the SEC that to launch an ETF. And don't be surprised if BlackRock is the first to get approved because they're the most well-connected. It's kind of like the SEC is fending off all these other firms, including Grayscale, that are requesting approval for this ETF and just holding off waiting for BlackRock. So BlackRock catching up. They weren't the first in the space, but they have found out in recent years, yes, it makes sense to get into the crypto space, and they're coming in strong. So this is happening, but this is also in part why I wanted to say to you, that's why I started the video by saying this. Congratulations to you if you're paying attention and you're in the crypto space right now, because you ain't seen nothing yet. Somewhere between 2 and 3% of humans on the planet have purchased crypto. But that's not even the biggest one. So there's already crazy room to grow, right? And so much money can flow in and bid up the price of Bitcoin and XRP and everything else. But the institutional money and what that's going to do in terms of impacting supply and demand, and then what retail investors can just fight over the scraps, I guess, right? Because most retail investors, fine, we're here first, and that's fantastic. Most retail investors are going to be here after the institutional money makes the biggest splashes here. So this is great. And I wanted to note here, too, there's a quote from the press release from BlackRock, and they wrote that, here it is, it's right here. This is from the actual press release from BlackRock. Despite the steep downturn in the digital asset market, we are still seeing substantial interest from some institutional clients in how to effectively and cost effectively access these assets using our technology and product capabilities, end quote. So they're saying that from their clients, their institutional clients, they want access to Bitcoin specifically, and now they're giving it to them. And it's while the prices are suppressed, while the retail speculator is by and large out, which is another reason, like, you're the savvy one if you're paying attention to crypto still right now. Like, I really do mean, like, kudos to you. Because that's when the institutional money gets super duper interested. So it's not surprising to me that BlackRock is now offering this exposure rather than a year ago when prices were super heated. They've waited until things have cratered, and now they're offering this to their institutional investors. So this is what's coming. Like, the fact that you're here now, like, I don't know how to sufficiently emphasize how big of a deal this is for you. Like, this will be truly life-changing for so many people. I firmly believe this. Market's going to get overheated again, and I'm going to be here for it. I'll tell you that. I will tell you that right now. And this is just the beginning. So it's great that this is happening for Bitcoin. Bitcoin leads the market. That's not going to change anytime soon. I don't believe anyway. It could in the future. You know, it could get dethroned in terms of market cap. Something could flip it. Maybe it's XRP. Maybe it's not. It's certainly possible. Very plausible, in fact. But understand also that Grayscale, for example, and they have a bunch of different funds for various cryptocurrencies, a bunch of different trusts. Their stated goal on their website is to convert all of their trusts into exchange-traded funds. So they see a future where it's not just Bitcoin that is being, you know, exchange-traded Bitcoin spot, of course, being traded on NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange. It's not just that. They want that to be the case for every crypto. Now, mind you, they had an XRP trust until the SEC sued, and I have heard through the grapevine that they have every intention of bringing the XRP trust back as soon as the SEC versus Ripple case is settled to the positive, as long as that actually happens. So they do see a world where it's not just, you know, Bitcoin, an exchange-traded Bitcoin fund, you know, on major exchanges like NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, but XRP also, and all that. So, and you're here before all of that. Do you see what I'm saying, folks? You know, it's just astonishing to me. Substantially less than 1% of humans have ever held XRP at any point in time. It's not even close to 1%. It's something like, I'd have to look it up again, but and it's hard to kind of figure out, so these were kind of rough numbers anyway, but the best I could see, it was something like 0.005%, or maybe there were 3 zeros and then a 5. It's almost nobody is the point. It's almost nobody. But here we are, and clearly the money's coming in. The smart money sees that this is indeed coming. It's just a matter of time. So I'll wait I will wait as patiently as I have to. I know a lot of people are down. Not as many people are paying attention to crypto right now because prices are low. People are burnt out, all that stuff. But I'm like, this is the time to pay attention. So I hope that you're sufficiently positioned in any way that you want to be, because at some point, you know, I don't know for sure if we bought it, we may very well have, but at some point things are going to start rocketing. And so I don't know that we're going to necessarily have a BlackRock Bitcoin spot ETF necessarily even this year, but maybe we do. I don't know how quick this could happen. But at some point in the future, that's what's a-coming here. And so on-chain analyst Will Clemente shared the following with his 657 followers on Twitter. He said, "Last comment on the matter. Think the BlackRock news is probably the most bullish news for a long-term Bitcoin holder ever. Not just the news itself, but that it signals to some the water is fine, and to others, if they don't offer their clients Bitcoin, they'll get their lunch ate." So, folks, it's not even just that BlackRock's jumping in. Yes, they're the largest investment firm. Like I said, they're going to play a leading role in this, sure. But what about every other investment firm on the planet? If BlackRock's in, then why aren't you? If you're offering investments to institutional clients, why wouldn't you offer it? You're going to start to look like a dinosaur if you don't start offering crypto products. Like BlackRock's, they're already in, and they're going to come in even more intensely. So there is this tweet. So let's give credit where it's due. This is an XRP community member, Frecky, who, by the way, has been in crypto since 2011. That's when he first purchased Bitcoin. Very pro XRP guy, and he happens to actually work in finance. He's been in finance for, like, I can't remember exactly when he told me he started, but I think it's been like a couple decades or so. I can't remember off the top of my head. But point is, he lives and breathes finance for a living. He's saying some stuff here that you should pay attention to, because he's been right so far. He's been talking about this before anybody else was talking about this, and he's been right. And he happens to be very pro XRP because there's actual utility there. He's like me in the sense that He's really big on these utility plays. And so he tweeted out the following on May 20th of this year. And it was a retweet of something from Grayscale, and they were talking about, well, there's a little screen grab here from Grayscale. It says, 5,000 plus investors have shared comments with the SEC on our proposal to convert Grayscale Bitcoin Trust to a spot Bitcoin ETF. And so basically Frecky here was wishing Grayscale luck in their efforts to convert their trust into an actual ETF, because of course then you get way, way, way more exposure, right? And so Frecky wrote on May 20th, keep pushing. I want you all to get the first Bitcoin spot ETF. However, I expect BlackRock to come at you heavy. It's going to be a battle. Be ready. Ultimately good for the space, but be ready. And that was, again, like I said, May 20th. That tweet got 1 like, which he pointed out today, but he warned. He said, hey, BlackRock is going to be coming. And he noted here in this tweet today, and he tagged me, he said, got 1 like on this in May, LOL. And by the way, after that, it is worth mentioning that Grayscale did get their Bitcoin spot ETF rejected by the SEC, and then they decided to sue the SEC. So that's what's ongoing currently. So this is the headline. I'm not going to read the article, but Grayscale suing SEC after its spot Bitcoin ETF is rejected. And then there was also this is from Watcher Guru. They were just noting the big news today about BlackRock launching their private trust for Bitcoin. Well, Frecky retweeted that and tagged me also. So thank you very much for tagging me, Frecky, because I find this incredibly entertaining, let's say. This is fantastic. But he shared a couple screen grabs of his own tweets. And these were both from May 14th of this year. So he's been saying this for a few months. And he said the first tweet on the top reads as follows. If you understood what BlackRock is about to do, you wouldn't worry about a $30,000 Bitcoin price. And so think about it. What happened after that? So Bitcoin obviously cratered well below that, ended up going down to as low as something like 17,500. But if he said here, because he knows what he's talking about, he's in the know here. He says, if you understood what BlackRock is about to do, you wouldn't be worrying about the price of Bitcoin right now. It's not going to freaking matter. That's the message he's communicating. And then in a separate tweet, he wrote the following. He said, I'm calling it now. Again, this is May 14th. He says, I'm calling it now. BlackRock will get ETF, but before, they will get another product, #Bitcoin. BlackRock is ready and prepared. Be ready, John, and watch. And that was in reply to something from attorney John Deaton, which is what he was talking to there. But anyway, the point is, he called it. He's called it in May. He's like, Bitcoin's going to get an ETF. That's what he's still expecting to happen. Bitcoin's going to be the one to win that. Because, well, they got the connections at the highest levels of the United States government and the world over. But he says before that happens, they're going to get another product, another Bitcoin product out there. And wouldn't you know it, they've got a Bitcoin product out there first. So they're basically taking the Grayscale playbook, and it's probably going to go a lot better for them because they know everyone that you need to know to get something like this passed. So they got their Bitcoin spot trust moving. It's there. Their institutional clients can purchase it, and then they're going to work to convert that to an ETF. They're just copying Grayscale. Interesting, is it not? So all the credit in the world to Frecky, and a very insightful individual. And if you're not following him, you definitely should if you're on Twitter. He's at Frecky, FREKI_crypto_OG. And he's definitely an OG. Like I said, he's been around over a decade in the crypto space, and he gets it. He just holds. It's the same strategy as me in a general sense of I don't respond emotionally. I just buy whatever I want to buy, and then I just sit there and wait, even if it takes years and years and years, and I don't copy what the emotional retail speculators are doing out there. So again, this is the type of news that is going to result in so many people, ultimately, the people who are patient and wait, it's going to result in them, so many of them anyway, getting rich. It's clearly the best news in the world of crypto in 2022. So I'll say it one last time. Congratulations to all of you still paying attention right now. This is going to be very good for XRP as well. I'm telling you, like as money starts to flow in, it always starts at Bitcoin first. Bitcoin's the big bad mamma jamma. It'll start rocketing at some point in the future. Money then cycles through to other large cap coins, mid cap coins, small cap coins, rinse and repeat. And XRP's at the top. And at some point soon, it's probably going to have legal clarity to the positive, right? Can you just imagine the perfect storm? Like, it's all coming together right here. Like, the fact that XRP is as cheap as it is right now, my gosh, It's going to look absurd if you fast forward. I don't know how long you fast forward, but imagine like 5 or 10 years down the road. Whew. It's going to be bonkers, folks. This is the coolest damn stuff in the world. I'll wrap up here, though. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.